Alright guys, so Lord Entertainer Fabian Fusion is almost over, and I have a lot of thoughts about this fusion, from how the calendar was structured to how much resources there were needed, because some of those things I felt I was wrong, but it's something that is case to case. So let's take a look. What's up guys, this is your boy Rusian with another Raid Shadow Legends video on the fusion of Lord Entertainer Fabian. Listen up, click on the link in the description right now and get a free legendary Karato and 4 amazing epics as you level up. And here are the steps you guys need to follow to be able to get this. Step 1, log out of Plarium Play on PC. If you never had Raid installed on your mobile phone before, the link will work in there too. Step number 2, click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Step number 3, launch Raid and complete the tutorial. Step number 4, go to your inbox and claim your first champion. And here you go. You find Karato here, as well as Uugo, Rector Drath, Tagoar, and Mausoleum Mage as you progress through the game. This is an amazing account starting raid, so click on my link on the description below and follow these steps. Alright, so let me explain. Alright, if you guys look, like, first of all, Lord Entertainer, his kit is amazing. He's A1, servicing death, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit steals 10% of the target's turn meter. Place a True Fear debuff for 2 turns if the target's turn meter is fully depleted. A2 attacks one enemy. Place a Petrification debuff for 1 turn and has 75% chance of placing a True Fear debuff for 2 turns on all other enemies who are not under Fear or True Fear debuff. Passive effect. Activates this skill whenever an enemy under a Fear or True Fear debuff successfully uses the skill. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only one can activate. So, what is interesting, because he will still allow the champion to use the skill, but then it will activate automatically, and it's in a 3-turn cooldown, what is pretty decent. And then on the A3, Spectral Flourish attacks all enemies before attacking, has 75% chance of decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 3 turns, has a 75% chance of increase the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 3 turns, grants an extra turn if there are no buffs on the enemy team after this attack. Also really good, and on a 4-turn cooldown. Now, and his passive goes with the most. Whenever an enemy is revived, place a True Fear debuff on that enemy for 2 turns. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, the effect will only activate once, and removes any stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, and petrification debuffs from this champion before the start of the turn. 0 cooldowns. Alright, so a lot of people argue this champion is broken, but I feel don't fix it, Plarium. That's a pretty good champion, and I feel champion that people should have gone for, okay? Now, this being said, let's take a look in the calendar really quick. Now, the reason why I want you guys to look at the calendar, right? So, I feel it kind of didn't make sense. That was the weirdest calendar I have ever seen since I done any fusion in my raid career, okay? One of the reasons is, we start with Dungeon Divers on the first day and Dragon Tournament. What I thought was actually a pretty good idea, because, you know, you can just run as much as you can. The problem is, Dungeon Divers has been getting worse and worse with requirements. What meant I had to run Dragon Tournament 2 or 3 times to be able to get all the resource, right? Also because we didn't have Ice Golem until the 13th, when this event was gone. Now, don't take me wrong, I needed to run Dragon because speed gear, so for me it didn't affect me in the sense that I was going to spend resource anyway. But for anybody else that goes in the budget, that could be a problem. And then after that we had Ice Golem Tournament that hit with Dungeon Divers 2 and nothing else, because then Spider Tournament pretty much has been run by itself. No Dungeon Divers, no anything. And that's a problem. So the biggest problem is Ice Golem. I don't think anybody wants to run twice the amount that they would want some of the other dungeons, right? Like Fire Knight. But then you have Spider that is, I would argue, a lot of times it's good to run a little extra, and you are not running with Dungeon Divers. Now, there is the argument that, well, that's okay, but we have an event going on, the Verdant Deck of Fate, where maybe you're running Spider to be able to get gear and be able to get points, okay? True, but you would need to run Spider so many times to get a negligible amount of points to be able to flip cards. And just so you guys know, I am not going to the Verdant Deck of Fate because I already used a lot of resources in some of the other areas. And why I think it is a good champion, it's not a game changer for me. So I'm not doing the Deck of Fate. That's the first Deck of Fate I haven't done in a while. So yes, now back to the calendar. We have still 5 different events that pretty much took a break today. I mean, there's nothing coming up today new, so I'm not running. Now, my argument about this fusion, and that's why I say it's really weird, because I have not spent as much resources as in any other fusion, even if it looks like that was a plan from Plarium. And let me show you guys why. So right here, as you guys see, I already have 3 of this champion, right? The fusion champion to be able to go in. And I have already 3 of the secondary champion, right? And the reason for that is because I just pulled on shards. So one thing I told you guys I was going to try, that was my plan, and it was during the summer rush. So what I did was I pulled my ancient shards, okay? Something I tell you, you should never do, but I had small feeling that I would have a good chance to actually pull some of the champions from here, the rare champions from here. And I did, and I pulled a good amount. So now I sit in a position where I only need to run 1 event or tournament. So my plan right now is probably to run Fire Knight. Okay, or I could also choose to do Classic Arena, because that's something that I would do anyway, run arena battles. Or I could go to Champion Chase, because I have, if we look in here, I have a lot of fragments I can pull to be able to get my points. So I got choices, right? And that's the thing. So in a sense, I spent less resources on this fusion. But at the same time, I still feel this fusion was very resource intensive. And mostly because if, like most people, would choose not to pull their ancient shards until Champion Chase, they would have to be running Dungeon Divers to the wazoo. And that's the thing, like, I know Cold Red mentioned that in his video. A lot of creators have me mention that. It just feels that Dungeon Divers getting worse and worse every single day. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating on that, right? The amount we have been using on resource on Dungeon Divers, it's insane. And right now, having Dungeon Divers running alongside just 1 dungeon, it's just, honestly, it's impossible. Okay, if you're a content creator or you have very high budget to play this game, yeah, it makes sense, but not being able to double dip on Dungeon Divers on 2 different dungeons, it's not okay. I mean, honestly, guys, let me know in the comments how you feel. Maybe I'm wrong, okay? I feel this calendar was kind of like off a little bit. And to be honest with you guys, if not for pulling the rare champions we needed for the fusion, I wouldn't be able to, well, I would be able to make the fusion, but not without spending money and resources, like extra resources, right? If I was doing free to play in this account, what I'd done before for months, it just wouldn't be feasible, okay? Plain and simple. So, I don't know. I do think Lord Fabian is a really good champion. I do believe he is worth the resources, but I think when we start like putting money on your resources, meaning how much is actually worth your resources, he's a very expensive champion, because you gotta think you had to pull at least 7, probably more, of your sacred shards just for the summer rush, plus void shards, etc. If you put in down in the pen with the pen, it's a few $100s. So something to think about. I would like them to have made a little bit simpler, okay, or at least had worked better on how the schedule worked, but it's not here or there. Maybe it's an eye-opening, I don't know. Maybe you guys had any time on the fusion and I'm just blabbering here. I just feel that it's very hard to tell if that was a good thing. Like, if I can pull the champions, right, when summoning shards, maybe it's not so bad, even if it feels bad on the calendar. But to be honest, like, I don't know. I had the shards, a lot of people didn't, and a lot of people are not using ancient shards during Summer Rush, okay? So, just something to keep in mind, guys. Honestly, let me know in the comments, because every now and then, and most for me, this account not being free to play, a lot of times it's easy for me to say how easy it is or hard it is for me to do something, but I'm not in everybody's shoes or everybody's budget, okay? Anyway, guys, yeah, I just want to clear the air and know your opinions on this fusion. Are you guys going for Lord Fabian or not? Let me know in the comments. And as always, I'll see you in the game.